check. Check, check, check.
If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to go live on Instagram in 3 minutes. Find a place where you can start on the floor and maybe just taking your time to get used to the space that you're in. Get used to the floor you'll be practicing on, and to get into the headspace to devote yourself to your practice. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic. Hi everyone, we're live on Instagram and YouTube currently. I'm Anna. I'm one half of Slowdanger.
My name's Taylor. I'm the other half of Slowdanger.
Thank you for joining us for Virtual SPI. We're going to do an hour of moving. There are many ways for you to experience it for yourself. You can not watch the video at all and just hear our words. You can also watch the video and not hear our words. Really just taking agency in this practice for your own exploration, and to use it as a way to deepen the sensations in your body, and maybe sweat a little bit and listen to some good music that is actually all Slowdanger music due to copyright laws.
Yeah, as Anna said, there's many ways to engage with this. We are streaming on Instagram Live as well as our YouTube channel. Feel free to be on whichever platform, and as we've said in the past, we will leave the recordings of classes up so that we have a virtual archive, so you can always return to the videos and practice again.
If you have issues on the YouTube stream, which we have had in the past, feel free to switch to Instagram. We have had some weird technical difficulties with the live stream in YouTube, and then it is fine. But just use, discretion. We're going to start on the floor today. So just find an open area And maybe just start by seating yourself on the floor. We're also going to be navigating our cat taking class today.
She really
as well.
She really loves the microphone cables.
So just finding a loose seat. That's enough, Pepper. Finding a loose seat in a comfortable position. And just noticing where your pelvis and how your pelvis is relating to the ground. Is it uncomfortable for you to sit on your sits bones? If so, you can bend your knees and soften your spine, but trying your best to just sit on those two bony landmarks called your ischial tuberosities. And notice how your breath passes in and out of your body. Not changing it yet, maybe closing your eyes. Where is your breath located today? What is its tonality? How does your inside feel? How does your outside feel? And we're just gonna do a little bit of visualization. In this visualization, on your inhale, you're going to imagine that you're drawing a light up through the base of your pelvis and letting it hover in between your belly button and lower spine. And exhaling that light down through the earth. Inhaling that light up through the pelvis, through the belly button, and hovering, filling the cavity of your diaphragm and your solar plexus right underneath your ribs. And emptying that breath all the way out. In the next inhale, letting the light pass through the pelvis in that space between belly button and spine, and through the diaphragm and up behind the xiphoid process and the thoracic spine. And exhaling it down. Now drawing that light in through the pelvis, between the belly button and the lumbar. Feeling the diaphragm up between the xiphoid and the thoracic spine. And now in that area, hovering just behind your clavicle and soft down, feeling the swelling and contracting in your ribs cage. Inhaling up through all those passages, clearing the spinal cord so it can be a hallway for this light to travel through, up into the throat and down back out the pelvis. And this next one, inhaling up through that passage that we've cleared. And now letting it enter the skull and swirl around and fill that dome. And exhale it all down. And this next inhale, we're going to fill our entire body. We're going to let that light vibrate an inch off of our skin and soften. And now we're going to hold that light with each breath, and with each inhale, the light is to expand further from our body, growing out of our body like we're a glow stick. You can even blink the eyes open. I'm going to shift onto one side of our hip and prop ourselves up with our hand and just feel a little bit of swaying, considering the light that we just charged our body with, and now introducing a little bit of movement, easy movement, to let that light move into the corners of our body that might still have pain. So finding a little figure eight through the xiphoid process. And that xiphoid process is the little bony space that hangs down off of your ribs. So just thinking about dialing that xiphoid process in a figure eight formation.
Continuing to think about that light and finding that nice infinite figure eight motion that Anna described. Continue to allow that breath that Anna led us through to guide your motion. I enjoy this side of hip figure eight, feeling the intercostal muscles and the ribs open and close like a bellow to a fire.
While you're doing this, feeling as if the eyes can take a ride on the body. Just letting the body rock and the eyes can follow behind.
Open up the range with that following of the eyes, feeling, if it feels available and comfortable, that perhaps your rock or your spiral goes just a tad further, just a tad past where it was the previous one, and letting that breath motivate that spiral and that rock.
Finding an easy kind of almost falling back now. So falling back into this hand that's receiving you and letting your pelvis shift back now. And now we're kind of rocking forward and back a little bit more. I don't have two hands right now, so you can use both hands. Like you're a wave coming in and out of the shore. You can slow it down for your own body. And then feeling how you can start to pour more weight into the opposite arm. You can start to tip the pelvis slightly. Finding this figure eight again through the xiphoid process.
As if each slosh of that wave or that tide pulling in and out takes you closer to that new side, that other side, onto that trochanter, as Anna mentioned. Continuing to imagine that image of the waves in your spine and in your breath and in your flesh, letting that motivate that quality of a nice back and forth or a slosh or a wave.
Literally feeling like your skin is encasing the sac of your body. And this sac is filled with a fluid that you're sloshing around.
Perhaps
you can speed it up or slow it down.
In that playing with speed, perhaps we find that sense of the figure eight again, like we did on the first side, that sense of the bellowing rib cage, the opening and closing. Letting the breath continue to move and be your partner in this.
I'm feeling heavy clavicles and heavy shoulder blades. And we're just gonna make that rock tinier and tinier incrementally. And feeling as if we can hold something inside of that space, like we're hugging the xiphoid process as it comes closer and closer. This will naturally engage your abdominals.
As if those waves are starting to calm a bit, as if the choppy, wavy sea is becoming more still.
When you feel like you've found stillness, taking a breath into the weight of your legs and just finding a way of shifting onto the knees from here. Finding a way of shifting to all fours. Both hands on the ground. I'll have one up. And just sensing a little bit of rocking. Now taking those two figure eights and drawing like these two figure eights that cross in the center across the arms.
Letting that image of the figure eight and the wave make its way into more chambers of your body, into more of your skeletal muscular system, finding a nice wavy rock between these four or 6 rather, points that are touching the ground, allowing the real weight of our body to shift and be placed over hands, placed over knees, oscillating between those points of support. Continuing with that breath cycle, as if each exhale expels something that won't serve us, and each inhale brings in that possibility for discovery, finding new chambers and new caverns of our body.
And you can start to break up the pattern of these figure eights and put them into different joint spaces, sending curves and circles around. Maybe it's the shoulder, maybe it's the head and neck, maybe it's the hip.
Using that figure 8 symbol that Anna's been giving us as just a reference point and a framework, but creating new paths within that, new modes of oscillation, new modes of gyroscopic motion.
And to turn the heat up a notch, this is also optional, tuck your toes under, and we're going to float the knees a couple of inches off the ground.
Feeling that sense of, if you're floating the knees, you might feel that sense of effort or rigor increase, a sense of heat beginning to form in the core of the body, and treating that intensity like a valve, only opening it as much as what would serve you or what feels sustainable, working with the range that feels nice in this early stage.
And as you hover and find those circles, you can start to play with how long or short the knees are, and how you can push forward and back with the arms and legs. We're going to let this burn a little bit more, but we're going to count backwards. 10,
9, 8, 7,
6, 5,
4, 3,
2, 1. On 0, we're going to find a nice V with our body. 0.
Lengthening through the backs of the legs in this V or this downward dog form. Thinking about the parallel in our legs and feet, the purity of the parallel. Lengthening through that tailbone and those sits bones.
And feeling the memory of the kind of piston action that was happening through our body. The kind of pushing between 4 points. Feeling how you can do that now and find little unlocks in the joint spaces. And on an inhale, we're going to ripple out into a plank position, and on an exhale we're going to come back. And inhale and exhale. I'm going to do about 10 of these.
Inhale, moving out to plank. Exhale, moving back to down dog. Finding a sense of rhythm to it.
Beautiful. After you've done about 10, coming back to our V position and walking the hands
over the legs. I'm finding a nice hang in this forward fold, exhaling water out of the top of the head and off of the shoulders, and even bending the knees softly so that the torso can rest on the thighs. Just finding soft melts in the knees, even coming to a crouch, and then pushing through the legs to stretch the backs of the legs. Almost like the backs of your knees want to yawn. Beautiful. On this next bend, we're just going to bend so far as we can keep our heels on the ground. And just finding a little bit of rippling through the spine in this low position.
That low position might resemble something like a chair posture or a nice plie, but as Anna was saying, in that bent knee kind of lower sit position, can we access that wave of the spine?
Just a little bit longer.
Those continuous waves that we've been working with through our breath and our motion.
For 5. Lower 3. Lower 2. And 1, 0, just stretching those legs. Nice, and bending down. Seeing if you can find that stretch without snapping back and down. Stretch and down. Last time. Stretch and down.
After that last one, finding a nice vertical stance. Continuing to keep the breath moving.
Finding that vertical stance and just feeling how you can sway your pelvis around your feet. Maybe even closing your eyes, playing with the equilibrium here.
Similar to how we did in that first all fours tabletop position, the shifting of our real weight, our real body weight over different fleshy patches of the feet. You might come across little bony landmarks in the feet and little squishy, fleshy.
Starting to find these needs through the feet.
These kneading of the feet, finding a sense of buoyancy in the legs. Like Anna was talking about earlier, those waves and those moments of slosh. Finding that in this soft, curvy wave dance now on 2 feet.
Starting to invite more bending. This kind of heaviness through the arms and knees. Can the knees become heavy? Bending. Can the shoulder blade become heavy? Imagining like little 2-ton balls emerging on different parts of your body, the head. The knees, the knuckles, the pelvis. Letting it infiltrate and ripple. Finding those ripples again. Letting yourself explore that space and range.
Sensing where those ripples might be coming from. At times, maybe they come from subterranean, through the legs, out the body. Or maybe at times they're coming from something in the air that's traveling to us, entering our body, cascading through those our parts and our limbs, creating those ripples.
Now let's focus on it through the pelvis and the legs. Just feeling how the pelvis can communicate to these legs. We did a lot of orbital work, a lot of bowl work in the last class, last Sunday. So just really feeling how you can use the pelvis like a pendulum. Feeling how the pelvis can kind of work around and then drop, kind of dropping it into the legs. Let's actually find that with a little bit more focus with a wide leg. Feeling how you can just drop and come up and drop, come up.
Quickness in the drop, and thinking of that piston work as we come up more slowly, the legs spiraling and boring into the ground. A sense of simultaneously burrowing more into gravity, into earth, and also extending and working against that gravitational force, lengthening that spine out, lengthening the body, and thinking of those isometric and multiple energetic highways and pathways moving.
One. Let's shift to a more narrow, rotated or parallel position and find that. How it might not feel as dramatic, but we can still find that weight, that pendulum.
Sense of quickness in the more slowly.
Beautiful. Let's put one more weight onto one leg now and find that. In a rotated or parallel one-legged position, you can start to explore the opposite leg.
And it might be still touching the ground, it might be slightly off. As Anna said, just taking it explorationally. It's not about the range or the height of the leg. It's about how those two legs work and function with each other in this kind of piston plie situation. And playing, if it's there for you, with at times even rotating in or distorting the lines a bit. A little bit longer on this first side if we can.
Letting that leg kind of burn a little bit in a great way, in a good way. Letting the toes spread just a little longer. Seeing if you can now lift the heel off the ground and transfer up and over. Beautiful.
Finding that other leg. And something that Anna and I talk about a lot in our sessions is something we learned from a tightrope walker is if we feel that we're losing that balance, rather than trying to lengthen and stay up, drop that weight more into that leg and more into those joints to get more grounded.
Making sure you're tracking the knees over the toes.
That everything is folding and unfolding in that tracking, nice and on track and in that alignment that we want for the health of our joints and our ligaments in the knees.
Beautiful. Just a little bit longer. And like we did on the last side, we're going to push the balls of our feet into the floor to lift our heels. And then walk. Let's just rinse with a little walk around the space.
Working with whatever space you have for the walk. It might be a small area. You might be able to transition from kitchen into another room. In this walk, if you would like to keep your focus alive, you can scan your room or scan the space that you're in. even changing the directionality of the walk, feeling those backward forces and those lateral forces. I like to play with scanning objects in the room, seeing very clear points, like a little cobweb there or a little dot on that piece of art that I haven't seen, and also using my eyes to see points in the air as if there was something floating in front of me. So just play with how you're zooming in and out of your focus in the walk. Taking a few more steps and again sensing that potential for backwards forces, lateral or side step or cross, or even moments of like 3-step turn or pivot.
Can you still feel the reverberance of our wave work in a walk? How with each step, weight falls through the leg to the ground. Starting to let the head and neck feel a little more weighted in this walk. Seeing if you can layer a little bit of folding in the upper spine. Opening, closing the bellows of the chest. And can you really feel the weight sending itself to the ground? Playing with how fast or slow, how sudden. Starting to feel that through the knuckles, through the shoulder blades. Maybe even feeling how you can find this kind of almost like off-kilter. I wouldn't say it's a thrash, but more of a whip in the spine.
Being mindful of the space as you might be opening this up to not knock the head against an object or a corner. But again, exploring that sense of whipping, or that, again, maybe it's kind of like that wave. A little bit longer. Playing with lateral space.
And let's actually anchor our feet and just find that whip in the spine around the central axis. Feeling the lungs expanding and contracting.
A few more in this circular place. And also again, let's see if we can transition it laterally now. That sense of side to side undulation, or that whipping that Anna's been describing.
And let's hang on one side and just feel the weight of the head coming down forward. And then as if someone had a string pulling us up. Beautiful. Other side. Dipping. Low. Bring it up slow. Let's do it again. Roll it all around. Make that ass go. Last time, finding a nice hover in this kind of flat back position. Just finding some expansive bends and contractions in the knees. Yawning. Let's grab one rope and just feel how that can bring us up. Beautiful. And drop down. Floating up. Bending. Bending.
I'm grabbing that other rope and feeling how that can pull us up slowly.
Keeping that sense of rope, let's now extend arms outside in this kind of more open stance, feeling now the connectivity of the two ropes. We might be doing one hand for the microphones, but let's now feel that whipping we felt in the spine earlier and play with it again with this sense of this longer arm, as if these impetus or these initiations from the whip are coming from that sternum or that chest and reverberating out of our arms and out of our sides. You can play with it being percussive or like a smooth, slow grow. And how they kind of, these arms almost become one as they intersect through the middle. And what's happening with Anna and I in here, we can open that up and start to take the arms into different planes of space with this, but it's coming from the chest. So now maybe they're like our wings.
Feeling how you can push the air around you. Like this big wing just kind of taking the space.
At times feeling that wing can curve and carve, and at other times feeling that it could slice or plane or glide. It's also nice if you happen to be doing these with another person that you spend time like observing as well within it. Beautiful.
In this wing work, feeling the percussiveness of the bassy track that's playing, and how you can accentuate that with your weight and with the texture of your body. Feeling how you can also turn and pivot on the ground, that piston work through the feet. And in this next song, let's kind of quiet the upper body for a moment and just feel this percussive, this accenting in the feet. And how you can kind of use the floor to push up and down through the toes.
Working with that piston work again, as Hannah said, and even if we can find a sense of the wings or the waves in the legs at times, but blending it with this, as Anna said, a sense of percussion or rhythm with this kind of groovy song. So can we build a small spectrum here of this kind of percussive, groovy feet, as well as the kind of wavy, articulate through space feet?
Nice. We have those wavy things, and then also remembering that kind of like explosive quality, as if like a little bomb went off in your pelvis, and you go from a narrow place to being able to stretch. Letting Taylor have a little bit of Russian dance. How you can slide on the floor. And let's actually take this like down a level, as if the ceiling lowered.
That lowering of the ceiling might bring more rigor or effort to exercise. Anna's working with a deeper plie, relying on muscle groups in a different way, but still that nice blend that they're working with of rhythmic, percussive moments as well as those longer or legato or adagio kind of wave moments. Let's imagine that ceiling gets just a tad lower now, bringing us into a deeper bend just for a bit.
Using the hands now to kind of save you. Maybe they become two other legs.
Hands as legs, additional legs, as if we've morphed now into this other kind of creature, part humanoid, part other. Anna's using all four of her limbs, allowing her to transition and cascade and move between those places with a more gaminess, a more sense of an animalistic quality, perhaps. And let's allow for that ceiling to rise back up again, giving us a break on the deeper thing.
And just acknowledging that we have all of these options. We don't have to play them at the same time. And just finding kind of an easy groove.
Let's just enjoy a little groove for a moment here. And as if the visibility of our groove is on like a volume dial, let's turn it down just a bit, finding like a subtle kind of groove, a subtle rock. Even subtler. And let's sit with the subtlety just for a minute. Even subtler, still feeling that buzz, that vibration. Even subtler, still feeling the motor running in a quiet groove. And when Anna or I say go, we're going to let the groove get large again. Whatever that means to you, doesn't have to be a specific level. Go! Letting the groove be a little louder now.
Letting yourself have your club moment for the time being. Sunday nights in your house. And finding a little bit of bounce. And that can be like literally leaving the floor, but it can also just be like finding bounce through the joints.
And that bounce reminds me still of that figure eight, or that sense of infinity. There's a reverberation and recoiling that's happening, sending that energy down and feeling it bounce back up into our body.
Letting yourself kind of like, who fucking cares? Be that blimpy on the side of the road with the crazy arms and legs.
And let's isolate the groove now a bit. Putting it in the chest.
Finding a wide leg, a wide bend. Get all that whipping, seeing how you can kind of let that echo in this space.
Now letting that chest groove now incorporate that pelvis and the deeper bend.
How are we incorporating the pelvis, Taylor?
Just letting the pelvis be groovy with the chest. Let's stay in the deep end and let's find that circularity with the pelvis now. Pick a direction to go for a few, lubricating the joints. 6, 7, other way. Carving out that circle with the pelvis and letting the chest echo.
Even lower now, reverse.
Back to that original direction, lower in the legs as Anna said.
Feeling the burn, ah! Reverse. Nice. Narrowing, finding ways of kind of walking the feet in here. Finding internal, external rotation.
Feeling that you can be kind of groovy and have a bit of swag with the feet. This little soft shoe dance or a little intricate heel toe moment. Playing with the distance between the legs as you feel this groovy feet.
And letting the arms come no lower than your shoulders.
Putting that limitation of the arm height to open up a different sensation in the groove. Maybe we can get a little expressive with the shoulders. Have a little jazz moment. Keep the arms above that same level that Anna talked about for a bit longer. Keep it moving. And let's keep the arms up at that level. And as our sound cycle changes, let's keep our arms up. We can let that rhythm of the groove slow a bit. Become a little more rounded. And let's keep the arms wide and let's take them down, carving our torso, scooping up a big pile and opening back up to spread those things. Perhaps finding backspace, and let's do that again. Scooping a big pile. Let's do it now, taking it towards the right side, carving through the clouds. Evocative of what Anna took us through earlier with the bigger range. It's going towards the left of that, pouring the weight, rounding back over. Let's return to the beginning, taking 2 big scoops forward with the plie and cascading the pieces into backspace again. And this to the right, curving laterally. To the left, curving laterally. Let's pause at the top, creating that big wide X shape. Taking our left hand now, threading through the air down towards the right leg and unfurling. Now the right side. And unfurling. Let's add those 2 big scoops forward. Again, scooping forward and up. Letting the pieces fall. Contract another scoop forward. Finding the big X. Left hand to right foot, carving through the space. A nice and unfurl. Other side, carving that right hand through the space. And unfurl. Holding the X, and in this transition, let's bring our feet closer. Keep the arms up in the wide V, a nice rotated first. And when our music comes back, we're going to take those 2 scoops now in this first position forward. Nice big scoop. And open it up and toss the pieces. Another scoop forward. And toss the pieces. Find the X in this narrow place. Take that right arm. Carve it down towards the left. And unfurl. You might feel a nice stretch in the piriformis. The side of the hip. Let's go the other side. And unfurl.
Letting those hands melt down with the opening of this track.
As if the curtain's rising, simultaneously our hands dropping. Looking out into the vast sea of people or of nature or whatever is out there that we're looking at.
Letting your legs narrow. Finding that shifting again in a parallel position. Maybe closing your eyes and letting the sound take you to different edges of your body. And we were writing on the walls last week. Let's consider the way that our internal space writes on our organs. Giving ourselves a massage through the inside. And finding moments of suspension or pause.
That internal organ image that Anna just mentioned makes me think of, at times, hugging the bones with those organs and those muscles and letting them go. And how are these, what's inscribing inside? Almost as if we could inscribe with our lung or with our kidney or with our heart. Letting the lilt of this classic song kind of motivate your sense of rhythm and valley and peak. Letting it bring spirals into your spine.
Maybe you can draw the face of someone that you love on the inside of you.
Trying to be as detailed with the drawing as you can. Using that insides, maybe it's your heart or your lungs that is trying to draw this image. If it carries you through the space a bit, or that's fine. Let it be more expressive and more exploratory. Continue to draw that image of that individual. Trying to be as detailed as you can. Putting that heart into it.
Moving up from the torso into the face and head.
Thinking of the many, at least I'm thinking of the many ridges of the skull and the face as things that can help me inscribe this image. crown of the head, creating a large curved line for that drawing. The nose adding some cascading zigzag lines, adding your final touches to that picture.
Taking that now through the arms and hands, his wings. It's taking it from the center up through the passes of your body. And now your arms and hands can articulate this space.
Letting what began internally be expanded. As Anna said, incorporating those arms, letting the picture get larger, creating the landscape around the picture, the scene. As the final notes of this track ring out, there might be moments where you get caught in a form or add little tiny lines, little tiny movements that bleed into something else. A picture that once started inside of us, now holding us inside of it, as if we've built a room with this picture, or a habitat, or a place to be held in. Taking the lines into some final deep curves. And as that sound cycle fades away, we enter our final moments together. For a moment here, just appreciating that image that you made. Whatever it became, whatever it started as. What once started as some subtle inscriptions inside, that became a larger world that held us in it. Take a moment to sit in that place. You can allow your posture to change. It's similar to how we started, a sense of presence. Returning to the breath. Trying to hold that image in your mind of that person or that place. Remembering what it felt like to create that picture through that motion, through those large curved lines, those small short lines, those quick rhythmic moments. Imagining that light that Anna talked about in the beginning, shining behind that picture, as if that picture is like a gobo or a stencil, and this light is broken and refracted through that picture, shining onto you, and your light is shining back onto it. That light gets a little bit brighter with each breath, shining through that image that you made, almost as if it's stained glass. Perhaps there's color to your image now. And that light that's shining onto you through that image, your light is shining back. Taking a nice breath. And with each breath now, stepping out of that image, out of that world. And returning to a nice comfortable place.
You don't have to end your practice, but our Instagram Live is gonna turn off. So we just want to thank you for coming through. We're doing this every Sunday in May. If you have the means, you can donate to @slowdanger on Venmo or paypal.me/slowdanger or tax deductible via the link in my bio. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you, Anna. We really feel special about this practice and that we can extend it to you all in these times and be in practice with you. So thank you again.
I'm so sorry for the phone descent.
I knocked it off. That's my fault.
For the cat attacking our cables, she had to be put in the room for the rest of practice. She just kept pouncing on them. Yeah, also, if you're on Instagram or YouTube, there's an archive of all the practices that we've offered on our YouTube. So feel free to access those whenever you need.
Thank you all again.
We miss you. We love you. And we'll see you soon. I'll just wait until it times out. Enjoy this song that we never released.
Speaking of songs that have been released, in these last 10 seconds, we just released an album with Jasmine Hearn called Echolocation. Our link is in the bio, and our Instagram is ending right now.